All right. Well, hopefully this is working. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm your host, James Wisdom. I am getting warmed up, drawing some ellipses, as I like to do. If you are seeing this, make sure to let us know in the chat. We've got some very special guests with us this morning. Mickey Schlick from the Montana Tattoo Company, and Tattoo Now's very own Gabe Ripley. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thing working? Is it on?
I hope so.
Awesome.
I think so.
Welcome to Monday morning.
Monday.
Morning, Mickey.
Monday.
You're even earlier.
Good morning. Yeah. I didn't even know they made it 7 in the morning.
Usually by 7 in the morning, I've had my 5th cup of coffee. I've fucking smoked 3 bowls of weed. Fucking worked for 2 hours.
No, I think that's a good ontology, right? That's probably the best ontology. Way to be. Well, I'm getting warmed up, so I can hear some clickety clack over there. So you guys are getting warmed up too. I can hear it. It's kind of the same thing, you know what I mean? So if you're just drawing some sketches and stuff, or if you're writing your memoirs or whatever. But I went to drawing club yesterday. Did some figure drawing, a lot of fun. But I did this. I sat there, before we started drawing, and I was just drawing these little shapes and stuff. I also was going, doing vertical and horizontal, just sort of moving my hand around, as it were. Right, it makes a mess. That's true. But I did some stretches after that too. But it felt, I felt warmed up. I felt like I was ready to go when it was time to do it. What a mess today. I love these little, failures. Every Monday, start off with something terrible. And yeah, good way to be, as it were. But that's how we do it here. And so, all right, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. We got the gang. Good morning, gang. How you doing today? I'm stretching out the wrists for all the drawing activities. I got to do all the typing. I got to use my computer all day today.
10 neck rolls on either side is.
What? Yeah, you want to lead this neck roll? Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm doing this.
5 of them on each. 5 of them in each direction. Okay. Slow. Although there's obviously experts that know what to really do.
Okay. So yeah, if you're watching us, we're you should join in, because doing some stretches. Because this looks it looks funny, I'm sure.
Like you were saying, it's only funny because we're not like. Although I would be the first to propose that people that chase balls for a living look funny, but like totally. They all stretch before they chase balls. Like,
right? No, I definitely agree with that. I was catching it out of the corner of my eye. I was looking at our screen, our feed, right, and we're all like,
Welcome to our YouTube channel where you too could watch us stretch our neck. But the thing is, everyone should stretch their necks before they sit down to work at a computer or watch the thing. Or, we're always on our phone all the time too, right? So it's like you have to stretch your neck to stop from the phone, thing. And anyways. Welcome to Reinventing, where we can. But I guess the point was everyone should be doing it, right? It takes 5 minutes to do a full set of stretches.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how long it takes, And I'm 50, so I've gotten the physical therapist has. I'm getting all of my, my things straight from the physical therapist, right? So if you don't want your back to hurt, these are the things that you have to do, and you can't cheat it. It's real life. It'll hurt if you don't do it.
No, I think that's probably better to start, you know what I mean, as soon as you can. and then when you get there, you're going to be better off. Thanks for hopping on, Gabe. It's great to see you as always. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers on Guy Etchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Network. We're always doing these live and streamed events, and so you're encouraged to join in and meet up with us at in real life at conventions and come to our shops, get some tattoos and stuff. With me this morning, got special guest Mickey Schlick. Mickey, good morning. It's so great to see you. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. It's good to see you too.
I got a chance to catch up with you last night. You showed me some pretty awesome shit, and so glad to have you on the show this morning. Hoping that you can show the audience some of the new stuff you're working on, as well as, I really want to promote some of the things that you are getting going, some of the things that you're getting started, because I believe in your projects, and
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So anyway, again, if you are seeing this, let us know in the chat. Maybe tell us where you're from, where you're watching us from. It's always great to hear you in the chat. And but let's let's continue the conversation. Mickey, you've been I'm seeing you as like someone who is really a promoter, an explainer of using technology in tattooing. Like always trying to find where the edge is, and bring that back to the group. You know what I mean? Like I was just talking with my folks this morning about drawing on paper, right? That's how, when I first started tattooing, we had to draw everything on paper, but now we're using, it's really common practice. People use their tablets all the time. There was a few people using Photoshop, that was the people that would design your business card for you, you had to find them.
Right.
But now we're all using digital technology. Most of us are using digital technology. It really is helpful. Making the end result, I think it improves the end result. But you're taking things, I think, a step further. There's a lot of really interesting techniques that you're bringing to the table.
It's probably definitely a step too far. There's a lot of stuff that it's for sure unnecessary for tattooing, but in terms of the thing is that the technology, if you're on just Procreate or whatever you're on, makes us able to produce in a more efficient manner, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't want to say that you're quick or you're doing things fast as a tattooer, then however you want to word that. We also end up with a lot of scrap, right? We have a lot of leftover projects and things that people didn't pick up that maybe might not ever get finished because it doesn't really have a place to go. Nobody's paying for it. And with digital, it's just really easy to flip that into something else, take it to the next step, and so that's what I'm trying to do. I like to bring whatever I can back to tattooing. Whether or not it's viable, I guess I have to try it a few times. Yeah, but I definitely think that it's something that, most of the tattoo people I know, especially older guys, are like, I wouldn't say technology deficient. I would say technology avoidant. And you're just leaving a giant hole for everybody that doesn't have that stigma to jump on and do it, right? And every year, this stuff updates. So anytime you get on, anytime you get into digital, it's going to be the most powerful and most user-friendly it's ever been. That's just how the technology works, right? Which I think is a great thing. And if you're trying to spend more time with your family or get more out of your drawing sessions or whatever it is, it's a real easy way to level up and change the speed and rate at which you output the things you're creating.
No, I love that, and I love the the sort of the same philosophy. You know, it's art, right? It's not what it is; it's what it looks like. Yeah, it's like, you know, like at the end of the day, it is you know, this thing that is aesthetic. People have to consume it in some way, and they have to love it in some way. I do believe that there is a question uh, of integrity, right? This is something that we were talking about in regards to, say, photographing your work, or even when it comes to the some of the digital tools. AI comes to mind, right? How are you using AI? How are you using filters? How are you using these sort of things? There is this question, you know, there's a line right somewhere where
Oh
we kind
yeah.
of feel like there's like that does not have integrity, right? Versus, like you said, being able to elevate your art, being able to elevate the things that are going to make your life, you know, better, make the lives of your clients better. You know, you're making better work, you're making, you know, better products. Um, how do you navigate this? I mean, I think this is an ongoing discussion, especially in these sort of liminal web spaces, you know, where we can, we're, you know, we're kind of, we're all, everybody is, you know, that is talking about it is starting to set this conversation, as it were.
Right.
You know, so when we go outside of here and we're really talking to, you know, to others, um, there's been more ground that's been sort of laid. For instance, um, you know, I like the uh, tattoo shop talk page on Facebook. And sometimes I know that sometimes they really go off about, you know, about AI stuff, and then like other times there's just this real acceptance. You know what I mean? It is a real mixed bag.
Which
You know,
but those are individuals, right? So, and
sure.
it's which group is speaking up today, because
Hmm.
it's not that the group has that much fluctuation. The individuals in that group, some of them have made this stigma that they're like no AI, and like that was the first big press that came out. A lot of people
Right.
knew no AI before they even knew what it is or what it can do, you know. And I
Totally.
think, like, you know, it's important to remember, yeah, it comes down to personal integrity. Like, are
Hmm.
you lying about what you're producing? Are you blending out your pictures? Are you changing the colors to such a degree that it's like above and beyond? Like, I understand making a good picture, and I understand using the AI, but taking an AI image and putting it right on the skin, like, I can tell. I know people doing that, and I can tell.
Hmm.
And that brings me to my next point. We have no enforcement arm. So, you know, however you feel about it, if the guy next to you is using that and competing that way, well, he's going to be able to please the customers faster in a more efficient way without taking as much time from his family life or hers, or whomever's. Um, and that's just the way that that person's playing the game. So for me, it's kind of about like knowing what all the tools are so you can use them when you need them, and not necessarily copying anything, but especially in the thumbnailing process, like AI can generate ideas. Like, it can generate a finished piece faster than I can do thumbnails. You know, if I'm spending
Right.
15 seconds a thumbnail, then I can still only produce 4 in a minute, which is the same as AI, and it can do it. It can have a finished piece. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take that and use it. You can use that as your inspiration or your reference as you draw something similar. I think that that's fine. I think that, like, when it comes to photography, anything that is like, how can I take the best photo, is reasonable. And, you know, everybody's gonna have a complaint that this person used a light or that person used a filter, but are we talking about filters to like give it a feel, or are we talking about filters like a filter on the lens, which is something that you would use to cut down the glare anyway?
Hmm.
Right. So yeah, that line is in each thing, like whether it's photography or whatever. And really, there's nobody that's enforcing it except for you on yourself. right? Then now I'm not saying to open up and like give up drawing. I still think you should learn how to draw. But when it comes to like 20 years of producing every day for people, you have to figure out, you know, how am I going to be able to compete with the new generation of people that's going to come out with none of this stigma? They're not going to give a shit about any of it. That's just going to be how you do it. They might have never had a notebook. You know what I mean?
So I guess my question about with the AI and the artists, you know, I've not obviously, but pretty obviously from the tattooer perspective, if you're taking client requests and people come in with reference and this AI is out of control, awesome, right? It's almost irresponsible to be a adequate artist, but a great tattooer and not use it. But now the other question is the flip side is all the illustrators that are getting, you know, their original artwork, right? You know, Rebecca Guai, like there's just a whole crazy crew of awesome artists who are just watching the AI take their art and regurgitate it, right? Or generate from it.
Well, I mean, that's what was already happening. It's just now on crack. It's now
right. But like, there's a big difference between like you looking at a bunch of illustrators, you know, work and like regurgitating it and like clicking a button and having 60 different varieties from 60 different artists delivered to you.
I would say,
you know? So I guess how do, well, and I guess the ultimate problem is like, are original artists just going to stop creating art to generate into these machines because they're not going to get paid as much, or they can't get paid?
Photographers didn't
Is
stop
their work
Photoshop.
maybe become worth more because it's actually human made? But I guess the main thing is how do the artists get paid off of the AI generating artwork from them? You know, and again, it's hard because it's from like maybe 3 different, you know, influences or whatever. I guess that's my biggest legitimate complaint about the AI art is making sure that the artists get paid. Same thing with Napster. It's like at the end of the day, give it away as long as the artists are getting paid.
Right. Yo, for sure. Well, you know, and I think the thing is like,
you muted Mick.
When you put something out into the public sphere, what exactly do you expect to get back? Right. Like, I'm not printing, you know, every one of us, well, I wouldn't say every one of us, most tattooers have printed some kind of muka or some kind of artist reference, and they're not sending back any money to that artist or Dolly or anybody else. So I'm not saying that like those people shouldn't get paid. Everybody should get recognition for their work and payment for their work, definitely. But you know, for me, all of these tools are in the idea generation phase, right? It's not like the final design. And then you also have to figure out, where does AI start and end, right? Does geometric account? Because I love that program, you know, but I can turn out 500 in a day as opposed to like, you know, just Googling a bunch of patterns or, you know, coming up with them any other way. So, you know, it's going to come down to personal. Everybody's going to have to do it. And then you're going to, it's just like everything else that I've done in tattooing, is that one group is going to be snickering that you're doing it, right? The traditional guys hate the realism guys because the realism guys are you're just tracing realistic pictures, right? Or the vice versa. You know, somebody that can draw doesn't like somebody that does traditional because you're only tracing old designs. You're not using line weight, perspective, values, that kind of stuff. So somebody's always going to have some shit to say about it. It comes down to like how you feel about it, how your client feels about it. If you can't sleep at night, well then, yeah, don't do that. You know, and eventually I think that'll all pan out, right? Is that it comes down to like, there's certain things that it can't do. It can do some things very, very well. And there's certain things that's hard for it to do. Now, some of them that are like text to video right now are like insanely realistic and not like cartoony or overdone or anything like that. It's like a cat walking outside in the sun or whatever. And it just looks like somebody filmed it out of their window.
That almost lends itself to like an extreme danger, you know, as a powerful
that's
tool.
how deep fakes are made.
Sure. Right. Now, who do you think would be able to operate that better? As an artist that understands, like, hey, I've been studying this for 25 years. This is the new tool, or the people that have come up and only use that tool, or the people that are afraid to use that tool but know what they're talking. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these different groups of people, and it's going to be another tool out there, and the businesses and the business will lean on production value. We don't really deal with that a lot in tattooing. We're really lucky. Like, we will lean on, no, I go slow, or I don't rush anything, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you know, how much are you producing in a week? Are you producing 50 small tattoos? Are you doing 4 sleeves? What, you know?
Well, I just had a call yesterday at the studio. Somebody, you know, was asking if there was a person that worked there by a certain name. It turned out that it was like a, you know, fraudulent. Somebody was reaching out to them on social media. They'd set up an appointment. They wanted deposit.
Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, I think this is an
epidemic. AI guy.
Yeah, it's an epidemic like level. And again, it's sort of like, you look, you know, when you see on the, you know, you see somebody that's promoting their work and they DM me for a sleeve, you know what I mean? Especially at like a crazy price or something, or a back piece. But again, they will say it's somewhere close to an actual shop, you know, and it's really convincing. But you are filled with, you know, sometimes they steal images. Sometimes I know that they're making AI generated images of like a tattoo on a person, and it looks totally convincing. And if you're really, you know, I'm going to say naive, but I don't mean that in a, you know, like a derogatory sense. It's just, you know, especially
I get it.
Person, people that don't, you know, like you don't look at tattoos
if you're
all day.
A person and not an artist, you can't tell it's not real.
Right. You don't have, you don't spend it. You're researching. You're trying to figure out who to do a piece for. You see amazing work, and you're like, oh, this guy says DM me. Great. This is easy to do. Sure, send you some money.
And that's the easiest way to tell, right? Is that this is a tattoo that in no way will work out in 3 to 5 years, and it's way over the skill level of a 3 to 5 year person.
Totally. Well, that's the thing that
the first.
Yeah, the public doesn't know that yet. And then, of course, legitimate artists do require a deposit, so that way you can get, you know, seen by them. So it's a tricky landscape for people. But the thing that like, you know, that keeps coming to my mind during this conversation was the introduction of photography, you know, in the 1800s. Like, this was it was revolutionary for its moment. You know, photos had been being developed for a long time. The technology to make a photograph had been being developed for a long time. But painters that painted portraits, for instance,
they were up in arms.
They hated it. Yeah.
Gone.
Well, that was the thing.
Number one, they're not gone.
It changed art. Yeah.
Number one, they're not gone. And in this conversation about integrity, the presidential portrait and everybody else, they're tracing those. You know, you take a photo and you trace it onto the canvas. That's, you know, very few people are like sitting and doing a square method or doing something without like a sketch. There's a ton of that out there. But like, I mean, most portrait classes I've ever taken in painting, even when they reference the presidential portrait, that's literally how they do it. So where's the integrity in that, right? Like, for me, it's already fallen apart. For me, it's like the hardest part, I believe, is the camera, is taking something from 3D space and translating it into 2D space in a believable way. Once that hill has been, or you know, whatever, once you've taken that path, yeah, it brings back the integrity thing into it, right? And at the end of the day, you know, there's going to be people who are like, I don't really care. I just do this thing awesome. This is how I make them look cool. And, you know, everybody's going to say something's cheating. I've had to like let go of that. I use crazy computer stuff, and it's not really about cheating. It's about, you know, I'm trying to produce at a rate that is commiserate with the times, you know, and we're really lucky that we don't have, you know, the turnaround times like, you know, anything in a movie or game studio would. But, you know,
well, hold on a second. Let's, I think Gabe wants to share something. So let's have it.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I didn't do this.
Yes. Welcome to the new era of video creation with HeyGen. Simply type your script to get started. Tattooing can empower positive transformation.
Oh wait, this isn't the right one. Sorry.
Okay.
Now I'll hop on it when when it's working.
Okay. No,
Nice.
no sweat. So, well, I hear where you're coming from, that you're keeping the conversation open, that we have to keep in mind this idea of integrity. There's an ethic that's at play here. This relationship, it is dialectical. There is a need for technology to be adopted and used. There's also a need to regulate that. It can't be pure, just like unmediated, like just use of it, right?
Yeah,
Because
the market regulates it.
I think we're using AI for the wrong things.
Yeah, well, I mean,
We
what
should
are
be
the right things?
using AI for the mundane tasks so we can let people actually think for themselves, and the artists do, and the philosophers think, and then evolve the species more.
Oh, they still can. They just have to do it quicker, faster, better.
Yeah, and making everybody, like, listen, I'm all about that. I love especially using the Tattoo Now stuff for for everything at the front end of the shop. But then when there's a customer that's like, I don't do online,
right,
and I'm going to give you a 1-star review because this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
I want to
figure
talk to
out,
fucking chatbot. I want to talk to you.
Yep. And it happens. And it's like, well, it wasn't a chatbot. It was a person on the other side, but they like went to go tattoo. And the last 5 messages that we have are from us going to you.
Right.
So, we only do online. I'm sorry that we weren't able to help you.
Well, here,
it comes down to like, how are you going to train the world?
Mm-hmm. Hey, check this out real quick. I just made this,
Hey everyone, it's pretty amazing catching up every Monday morning. James is great, Mickey is amazing, and Amber is the best. AI is going to change things big time.
So I was able to didn't do that.
Right.
Oh,
so
sorry.
So then, it's AI, but it gets the point across. You can actually get the point across better because you have time to deal with the script in a way that's not like, I have to get dressed and I have to turn the camera on, I have to get ready. You do that one day, take your video, and it's just, again, it comes down to productivity, right? How much can you turn out? It's much easier to turn out 50 videos when all you have to do is like re-roll a bunch of scripts than it is to set up and film and go edit that stuff and color grade it,
And it is, for the most part, still authentic, right? Like, it's speaking your words with your mannerisms. Well, I take that back. Everyone's going to know it's my AI when I don't swear and I'm more polite.
That's just the disclaimer we should have there, like, in case you didn't catch it. That was AI Gabe. That was virtual Gabe that just appeared before you and spoke words. It was from Gabe, but yeah, before you know it, that's going to be.
I'm hooking that up to a webhook probably this week, so that you'll be getting videos back and.
Wild.
Yeah, sweet. That would be. I'm definitely going in. I've been meaning to do that one.
Well, it's an interesting time to be alive. That's for sure. And I've really enjoyed us, the conversation, being able to, openly discuss these things, because everybody has these really strong opinions, and I think that it's forcing that on us, that you have an opinion about it. There's various levels of research that people have done, so it can be difficult to talk about these things. But what I'd like to do, I'd like to transition. I'd love it if we could start to look at some of your work, some of the things that you've been working on, Mickey. So have you let you share some screen if you're ready, and we'll walk us through what some of the new things that you've been generating, you've been creating.
So this is thing that I was playing with. And I'm trying to find a history of it because I probably have a video of making it. But the cool thing about this, let me actually. Here's what I did with it. I'm halfway through the tattoo, so I don't have any finished pictures of the tattoo yet, but we'll see. But I used that image, overlaid it with some stuff from Geometrica. and, you know, boom, futuristic lady portrait that you can twist and turn and light however you want. So and you can make, you know, just turn it and make it into a line drawing. So, now, I would definitely say that's cheating. And I would absolutely do it every day. Like, it doesn't even bother me.
I don't even think that's cheating. I think that's just being smart when manipulating your medium.
Well, I mean, imagine you can take an extra 2 hours and put it into the overall picture or the overall design because you don't have to worry about that part anymore.
You know?
I think there's, I would only like add to that a bit, like a caveat of like, there's something that you end up missing out on. I mean, at any stage, but certainly like
what in the drawing.
Yeah. Like even in tracing it by hand, getting familiar with it and stuff. You know, go ahead.
I would say I still love tracing it by hand more. Like I do not like the stencils that print out, like you could print a whole tiger out or whatever. I don't like to do that. And even when you're messing with like curves and stuff like that, kind of the same thing is in that it doesn't give me the exact thing I want. Where's this folder here?
Well, we were talking about this exact sort of thing in, at the APT. We were meeting, talking about education, and a lot of tattooers that, myself included, went through a time, in your career where you didn't even have a thermofax, you didn't have a way to
all analog except for my printer.
Right. You had to trace out by hand your stencil, right? You even, even to make the stencil itself. Right. So there's something about that practice that is there's a value, even though, again, like you can do it mechanically at a much more efficient way. It creates a muscle
memory in your hand because you've already drawn it so many times.
But that's tough. It's tough to get that across to new tattooers, I think, right? Yeah. Like it's the same argument, like, why do I need to learn multiplication when I have a calculator in my pocket? And that there may be something to that. Why do you need to spend that real estate, that, that space of effort to learn this thing that's so easily overcomable by technology? Again, this is this conversation I feel like that we've been having.
I've known people like that where, like, I want to do every piece 3 times before I start it, and then the issue for me is that a lot of times, or what I would witness, is that then when there's a curveball on tattoo day, everything takes a shit when you figure out that that you have to flip a design over because it's on the wrong arm, or that it's like a slightly different object and you're reliant on the fact, or you think like, hey, I've already trained my hand to do this one, and that's kind of why I go back to the drills is that let me get rid of this thing and double this document, is that there's only so many movements your hand can make, right? You can break it down into 10, 15 movements. And if you practice those, then you can handle any design from any angle at any time, any curve, any whatever, right? Because you got the S curve, the C curve, and you're just breaking it down like that. You're not, you don't have to like trace this thing with your eyes closed. You have to put the needle where the purple is.
Yes. No, that's a great point.
A lot of times, especially in those, we've talked about the drills before, and especially in like the draw box one, a couple of them, their thing is, you just learn to move your hand one way because that's going to be your easiest, best move. And then you spin the paper. Well, we can't do that all the time. So, I'm definitely a proponent of like go forwards and backwards, and sometimes going the other way than what you're comfortable with might give you a little bit better aim or better visibility or better whatever. And the more you've trained your muscles to make those movements, because think about it, like, what's the longest line you've ever pulled?
Right.
Okay. So how many different types of line can you stick into that? Only a few. You got a straight line, sideways, a straight line, diagonal. So, S curve, C curve, upside down, inside out. That's about it, So it comes down to about 10 movements. And I've definitely it really started to hit me. Originally, I was into pinstriping. And there was a guy that's hits the 10,000 moves. You do each one of these 10 moves 1,000 times. And by the end of it, you're going to be better than you are today. And then, I took some other classes and they were doing kind of the same thing where they're like, yeah, just draw the line. And I think, when you're doing those lines, it's also good once you get comfortable with it, like the circles and the lines and stuff like that, to use like a brush tip pen or a tablet pen with a lot of sensitivity, because that's going to control your depth, right? And so when you come back to tattooing again, that will have already trained your muscles to know that hey, I'm doing this while I'm lining, and it's going to create a problem, and I have to lock in and move, straight if I want it to look straight.
No, that's awesome. So this is an incredible sort of object that you've made.
Yeah,
I think that would be the best way to describe it, right? Yeah. So it's a 3D object that you've created, and now you can, like you said, you can move it around, you can light it different ways. Yeah, you can manipulate it more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can get in here and change where you want your lights. And this is just ZBrush. And the cool thing about ZBrush is you can do your whole render in there. Or you can take it, programs like Marmoset will light things up. Watch. Here, I can do this. Z plugin, FBX, export, Sculpts, MPC. I'm working on all these characters from Nightmare Before Christmas right now for a leg sleeve coming up. Where it's okay, now you have the characters and you can just reuse them at will all you want. It's gonna take a second.
I happened to choose that coffee mug this morning.
Yep, there you go. Perfect. Cute. Import model. Oh. Sculpts. Put it in the wrong folder. All right, it'll be here in a second.
And I think this is what I would say is is watching you, maneuver around and navigate all of the systems. So for some people that might look very familiar. For other people, it's very intimidating, right? So what would be your advice to people who are really, they're really interested, but they can't quite jump in yet? Where do you begin? Where do you?
Adopt? Honestly, I'm a sucker for computers. I use desktop computers. The jumping in part is Procreate. Procreate, is now strong enough it can do, between Procreate and Nomad, it can do plenty enough for tattooing that most of these other programs can do, right? So then you come in here and you say materials of objects. And now we're going to put in a 3-point lighting setup.
Yeah, amazing.
Right, and then now, let's see, camera 1, main camera. Now you can get in here and play with how light something is. Let's get this fill in there a little bit.
Okay, that looks handy as hell. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, even if you're looking at something like, let's do recent scene, ball on table scene. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, I think it's also so interesting to watch somebody create something, from out of nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's also there's also a satisfying sort of character there to watch it, to watch an artist like in the act of creating something. So whatever tools you're using, right? If it's a brush, if it's ZBrush, whatever the case may be. But yeah, this really reminds me of the stuff you were showing me yesterday from your new educational series that you're creating.
Yeah, this is actually the thing that I use to get all the pictures for that. So like I have them all labeled on the anatomy of a shadow.
Mm.
And it's, basically just the ability to control this light. Let's see how many cameras I have in here. Main camera, camera one. So I got 2 cameras. Let's render. So the top image is what it's going to look like. And then I can edit. Let's say I want to edit where this light is or where the light's pointing. It's going to change everything.
Yeah, that I like, being able to manipulate your light source to create, contrast and a dynamic image.
Right. Well, and then you can use these tools, the different tools that do their one specific thing, to do exactly what they're there for. So I have one that's like, it's just ready to make people. It makes people. You put in a picture, it'll give you similar proportions, and then you bring it into ZBrush and sculpt it out. Well, now you can push it back to that original program and have it give you emotions and expressions. And then you can take those expressions and bring them back, detail them out, light them however you want, put all the elements together. And I'm trying to explore a lot more like surrealism this way. So let's get rid of
That's
all
definitely interesting. That's one thing AI can do that people can't do. You cannot recreate a face you haven't seen somewhere before.
Yeah.
But AI can, just by knowing the structure of the face and being able to change emotion and everything like that.
Absolutely. So see if this thing will open, right? And now the problem is like, the clients aren't prepped for this.
Right. You probably have to take it and put it into a product that is understandable. For instance, you could do a lot of really rough sketches that you can read and that you're going to use to build the project, but the client may not want to see that stuff. They might, but they also may not. And so I think, again, the same kind of, it's almost from the other direction. In a way, this is like, it's over rendered, for like what the tattoo is going to end up being. I mean, to a certain degree, but then, you're going to need to add like all the tattoos, contingencies of their body, right? The curves of their arms and these sorts of, wherever you're putting it, some background and stuff. These are going to be, again, it's the same problem, but in a different sort of format, I suppose. But yeah, you're right. There's probably a level of educating your consumer, educating your audience, so that way you can get them to this really interesting result, right? This really same thing we were talking about earlier with people, unfortunately being scammed.
There's one called Monster Crawling that did it at our place. We got the same thing. Somebody requested that, somebody was coming in and, they wanted a deposit from them. We also had another artist who, somebody had bought a website that was like their name with like missing a letter or something like that, and then set it up exactly the same and was taking deposits. Yeah. And like, it's a buyer beware thing. And unfortunately for me, I'm in that situation right now where I'm trying to travel. So I'm kind of in the same boat where it's like, hey, you know, I'm taking deposits and I'm traveling. And, you know, does the person at the shop who answers the phone know that I'm coming? Because I've been talking to somebody and definitely something's going, but is that going to be the, you know, it's a thing. So I'm trying to take a hint from the call we had with Russ the other night, and change how I'm doing things a little bit in terms of, you know, I've always kind of been like, hey, dude, I'm going to be ready to do your tattoo at the time that we decide that we're going to get together. And at that time, we're going to get together and we're going to talk about it. And you can make whatever changes you want, and I can edit it any way you like. And if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do it. And now I'm kind of changing that to like, hey, I'm baking in a month that I'm going to work on, you know, everybody's stuff. I'm going to work on the first month, and then hopefully don't have to, you know, can come up with a full image like this thing, and then make it take 2 or 3 sessions to get it somewhere. That way I'm only doing, you know, 1 day of homework for 1 day of work. Hopefully less than that. Hopefully I can spend 3-4 days on one of these pieces and make it super rad, and then, you know, turn it into a back piece or a torso or something like that. And then, you know, you're offsetting the amount of homework that you have versus the amount of work that you have. You're also, you know, say you had 10 people and you want to do back pieces, excuse me. And you know that each one of these things is going to take 10 sessions, and you're willing to give a deal of, you know, $1,000, $1,500 a day, multiply that by 10, you're now at $100,000 this year, just because you got all your artwork done in January, and it's all follow-ups, and you only have to deal with 10 people a month. But you can pamper the shit out of those people, because that's where all your bills are coming from, you know?
No, so your approach, I think it's very, I think, forward thinking, and it's definitely a model that a lot of people could aspire to. Now, you brought up the call with Russ. I think, you know, I wanted to bring that up too. So you and I and Gabe Ripley, we all got a chance to be on a call with Russ Abbott at Fireside Tech Meet Talk. It was an incredible you know, seminar that he gave. So without giving away too much, right? For more, join Fireside. But also, you know, the thing that
Jake
Russ,
Fireside.
Yeah, love Jake, Dan, everybody at Fireside. I think that the thing that I took away from it, of course, was Russ was really rolling out some of his new 3D models. And again, these are some real, very entry level tools that tattooers right away can start to use to really increase their presentation, right? To make their presentation so much better. And I know that you had a couple of techniques that you were liking to use. Anyway, it was something that I really look forward to using more in the future. Because again, it's, you know, I'm not as well versed in in the 3D rendering software, but this is a very, you know, it's a very user friendly way to sort of tap into some of these tools that you're using. You have more capacity to manipulate and to make custom things, 3D assets, as it were, here. But I think there are tools that are available now that they're directly applicable to your business, your practice. And but I'm looking at the screen. Mickey, what are we looking at here? Oh, you're muted for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's...
I was coughing.
Oh, so, sorry.
This is the exact same thing that I was showing before, except for all the shadows are labeled. So I made this little video that's like talking about where shadows come from, and, you know, how to recognize what's going on in a shadow between, you know, the local value, the highlight is going to be perpendicular to the light hitting the object in a perpendicular way, the form shadow, which is like perpendicular to the light. It's like the light running into a wall, and then the cast shadow, core shadow, and bounce light, and how that kind of like repeats. If you just change the light, if you turn the light to the other side, you still have all those same things. It just kind of moves around. And the same with the face, right? Like you have the face, you can label all of that. So I just spent a little bit of time, and that's kind of, I guess, what I was showing you last night.
Mm-hmm. No, I love this example that you've made, and the fact that you can, that it's sort of interactive slightly. You're changing the light source, and it's reassessing where these anatomical sort of elements of the shadow are located. It's so helpful for comprehension, because it's we still do want to like create out of our imaginations, but you can't. I think to Amber's point, it's there. You do need to have some reference to reality to make these a bit more effective.
Well, I mean, it's. I think we talked about it last time, when we were talking about dropping perspective back, and how there's like a perfect square and a perfect circle goes inside a perfect square. And like, yeah, you can have all kinds of variation, but if you get this measurement of 1 to 1, then all of this other stuff is going to fall into place, right? And the same is true with light, where it's like, once you realize light is a ray, it shoots in one direction straight, and then it hits, and then it bounces just like a pool ball, until something sucks it up. And once you kind of learn that, and you're like, okay, well, this light would be coming from this way. So if it would be coming this way, it's going to hit on this side of the character's face. And if you trace a line from the top of that character and then go on, from the light source across the top of the character onto the floor, then that's where the shadow is going to hit on the floor. Right. And it's like, oh, I can just draw a straight line, and I have to wing the body shape or the soft like shadow or whatever, but I can understand where all this goes based upon the light shoots in a straight line, the object blocks the light, and it's less tricky than when you bake it, when you practiced it enough and you bake it down to like, oh, it just came in here and then bounced around, and that's why things are lit up this way. It becomes a lot easier to tackle.
No, I totally agree, and I think, awesome. I totally agree, and I think that the thing that that's important to remember is that this is very intuitive. It's very intuitive insofar as we look at shadows all day. Yeah, I mean, any time you're looking at anything, you're seeing light, you're seeing shadows, and how they actually fall. Right, so there is a real relationship to physics, like you say. But when you're in the state of like you're drawing something, there's a disconnect, or there can be. It can be very challenging to go into that understanding of how light is working and your shading, unless you have done your studies, unless you really have had a chance to work through. So I think that like tutorials like you just showed us, they're really important for gaining that understanding. Using these digital tools are, a real benefit. But of course,
this is you want to.
Yeah. Let's check this out.
You want to hear me make a cheating confession?
No,
this is me cheating. This is me cheating. We're absolutely 100% don't care. So Unreal Engine is a free program to base users, right? You owe a bunch of money if you make a game that's over 100,000, or if you make a game that's over $1 million, gets over $1 million a year, you owe 10%. But they have a thing called MetaHuman Creator, and you can like take a picture of yourself, and it turns you into like a digital human, right? Now, the way that they're doing this, because we were talking to Russ the other night, is they're using a standardized mesh that's already ready to go into all the other programs, and projecting the person's details onto that instead of trying to scan the person, right? Because scanning the person, you end up with so many millions of points that you have to edit that down to the point that, you know, again, is that then that person, you've now cut off all of these, you know, the extra little pixels, and it's, you know, there's still a lot of like digital wizardry going into this. So what I've done here is I went into AI and I started started asking about, I don't know, some kind of Art Nouveau beauty portrait of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feed that into here, and it gives me a face with these measurements. Now it probably, let's see, I wonder if I can, let's go to a new project, and we'll just get a dummy character. Now it's not going to give you a perfect face, right? You're going to have to take this into ZBrush and dial it out. But if I use this character, let's see, I have to go to.
While you're working on that, I don't believe there's cheating in art. I know that. I know we were talking about integrity. Yeah. We have these sort of thing, but you know what I do? I can totally relate to what you're saying. We use that language because there's a bit of like, we hold all of this relationship to exchange value. Like, you know, it's ingrained in us that we kind of feel like there's this, there's a certain utility that's like associated with particular value, like i.e. like through money or something like that. But again, there's something almost metaphysical about like the way we appreciate aesthetic, and it comes through in the work of art when we something that's just it's almost priceless, we would say, right? And then it wouldn't, if we loved it, it wouldn't matter how it was made. So again, it's so it sounds like talking out of both sides of your mouth, right? There has to be some integrity somewhere, but then there is no cheating. It's like, how do you how do you navigate it? But I think what you're showing us here is just another, like, it's another application of tools that can be very useful. Again, like giving the client a greater experience. But I'll let you continue, because I'd love to hear what you have to say about it, and then demonstrating it like in real time is amazing. So yeah, please.
Well, I guess in my head, the idea that I have is like, I've been doing faces for a long time, and I can draw a face, and I can sit down and make you look funny and all of that stuff. I don't get requested for that a ton. Okay, so now this person, so you see how it's made the skin all like kind of weird. So then you get in here and it has tools to deal with the skin, but you can also, let's see.
No, right away I can see it looks just like this reference. It look, it's like already, it doesn't have like the hair shape, but like the facial features and stuff. It's directly, and it's 3-dimensional. Crazy.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
So now I can send this over to ZBrush. Let's see, create. Hopefully everything is set up. And so see, now you have like a real low res in the right pose. And now you can come in here and
look at all that geometry, all those polygons. There you go. Very smooth.
And just start manipulating it however you want. Now in this instance, I'm messing the program up because you would not be able to warp the, this would be all right. Let's see. If you have this mode on, then it will add geometry as you go. So it'll pull it out better, but it'll mess the geometry up in a way that you would not be able to send it back to the original program. And then the original program is where you would repose it. So what you're able to do now, so say you have, let's say that you do a lot of girl faces, and there's like a couple of types that you lean on. You might be able to go to Cube Brush or some other program or some other vendor like that and get a couple hundred photos of a person that's all, you know, posed properly. You can use over and over. You don't have to learn anything. Or you can take real optimized photos of a person, turn them into a model that you can dress however you want, that the makeup's always done, the hair's always right, if you want the hair there at all, which, let's see, let's get some hair. And then go back to the skin and do realistic human skin, athletic female. And then you get into, you know, real high-end scans of people and getting into like how the skin pores look, you know. Now the way they've handled things like ankles and elbows is there's like a little decal that just goes on there. You don't actually have to go in and fold the clay, you know. And that's another part of why you would want to be familiar with all the programs, because what exactly do you have to do? Hey, that's not what I wanted.
Hurry up, we're getting demonetized as you speak.
I'm trying.
I was just thinking the same thing.
We're gonna get demonetized. What are
Here
you
we go.
doing?
Give me 2
No, I'm
seconds
kidding.
to figure
I'm
this
playing.
out.
So I think that something that you had brought up is that you could make a model of your client, right? You could actually make them, you know, you could scan their body, for instance, or you could even use like this program you're using. You can actually sort of customize the figure, the mannequin, to look like them, if you like, which again, I think there could be, I could see, I can see trouble on the horizon. You know, they're like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like me. It's another can of worms. But yeah, probably another topic. But what you can do, you can make
My
a body.
cheat is I have hundreds of pinup pictures saved in all kinds of different poses.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to lie, 99% of them are Dita Von Teese.
Right.
But her silhouette is perfect for a pinup.
Well, that's the thing.
Change the hair, change the face, change the outfit.
Yeah, what we're talking about is like that you could make a 3D model of your client's body, and then you could like decorate them with the tattoos that they want to get. You could show them in a very accurate way. This is what your tattoo is going to look like on you. This is what your back piece is going to look like. This is what your sleeve is going to look like. This is what, you know.
And you could show it from like close up or far away. This is what it'll look like when somebody's across the street. This is what it'll look like when you're zooming in on it.
This is what happens to that ignorant style.
Which is a really good point, because that's how we look at our tattoos when we do them. How is this going to look from 30 feet away? How is it going to look from 10 feet? How is it going to look close up?
So, yeah, that's absolutely, you know, well, and that's the cool thing about all of this stuff, because if you're splitting up, so I guess one of the things that I talk about when I'm talking to people that are new into drawing is gray paper, right? Because you're not dealing with the whole value scale all at once. You're only dealing with the stuff that's darker than the midtone, and then you have a different pencil that's going to do the highlights on the light side. So you can really split up your light and dark shapes, if that makes sense, right? Or you're splitting up you're splitting the job in half by only having to focus on half the job at a time, right? Well, if you continue that thought process, now you're dealing with things where you're taking one program that deals with skin to deal with the skin, to make the skin awesome. You're taking one program that deals with the actual mass of the object to do that. You're taking a different program that's going to deal with the lighting and getting the lighting, and you're doing it all in a way where you can copy the light settings, the materials, the whatever you want. So like if I were to spend a day to make this character an awesome person, I can then put a Viking helmet on her. I can put a Roman toga on her. I can give her a carnival mask. I mean, you can literally do anything. You have it there that you can use forever. You make yourself 5 that are, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do is, you know, make 5 of them that are your characters.
Go to guys.
And you never have to go look for another photo again. You know, you can just make the actual thing, texture it like it's realistic, light it as if it was really there, and have the best reference possible. And now Procreate and Nomad on that iPad can do most of that stuff. There's a limit. Right. There's a limit, but it's not a crazy limit, you know? So I think now I have to follow up with what Russ was asking the other day and figure out the easiest way to get it from this program straight into Procreate. And I do got to say that the way they're doing it, the way he's looking at it, it's a cool look, dude. Have you seen the, you know, when he was talking about Thomas Cinnamon, and when he scans it in, it looks like, have you seen it? It looks like a real scan, or it looks like, you know, the trick. Let's see. Let's see. This is probably digital. So, you know, cool. This is extremely realistic because all of the, you know, it's scanned in from the real person in real life. Now, the issues you're going to get into. Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Okay. So the issue is that, you know, when you get over here to the hand, that's one lump that's fused together, right? You can't animate this into a walking pose. You could ultimately get it down that far. And what in this program that I'm using, there's definitely a way that you can take a scan and wrap it around one of their models. So it'll take the details from the scan and wrap it around. I haven't played with that too much, but I want to. But this looks super cool, dude. And it's like, you know, it's for sure that person in terms of it has their existing tattoos there. Good morning.
What do we got here? Yeah, good morning, Shamek. So Shamek and I have been chatting back and forth, and we're gonna have Shamek on Drawing for Tattooers, I believe, in a couple weeks. But yeah, Shamek, I sent you the link. If you feel free to hop on if you like. It's the restream one. I know it's confusing. It's been tough. It's been tough, but there's so many cool things that we're able to do, especially if you're checking out the ticker on the bottom. You can see that you're here with us, and then of course you can find Mickey. See, Mickey has we've got a QR code up here at the very upper left. Scan that, and you can go right to Mickey's site. I think I made one too. Since I made it, I'm gonna yeah, this one, the sticker. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I don't mean to. I've been so wrapped up in your in your presentation. I'm not doing all the producer stuff, but yeah, of course. Like, check out Mickey's portfolio for more. I know, Mickey. I know you were talking about it. Yeah, back piece. You really are pushing to do this project. You want to do, want to do 10 back pieces. You want, or 10 big tattoos or something this year. Is that right? Could you tell us more about?
I'm looking. Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of sleeves and stuff. So
Sure.
For sure, like back pieces and legs, I want to go a little bit bigger. You know, I end up doing a lot of black and gray, but I also have a person I work with that's really dope in black and gray. And so I would like to do some more color stuff, some realism stuff. And that's I guess what I'm promoting right now, trying to push.
Cool. Welcome, Shamek. If you could mute your the other tab that's on right now, you're on with us live. So if you mute your YouTube, then I'll unmute you. And yes, welcome, Shamek. So great to have you with us today. Another artist at the cutting edge of like technology and tattoos as well. So it's really great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Hold on a second. If you could, so I think there's a feedback. So if you're watching on YouTube, click either turn the YouTube off or just hit mute on that one, and then we won't get we won't get the feedback. So try that out. Okay. So I think we got you. Good morning, Shamek. Thank you for joining us today.
Is that still feedback?
No, it sounds great. Yeah.
Okay,
sounds great. Sorry for confusion today. We may have got our wires crossed, but
yeah, I couldn't find the email, so I've looked for them and I found a different one. So,
thank you.
But yeah, it's definitely impressive what Mike is doing.
Yes. Well, as somebody that that uses, you also use 3D software, 3D tools to create your tattoos. If I'm
ZBrush, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any? Can you? Maybe it'd be great to bring you in on the conversation. Like, you have any questions for Mickey? Like,
I'd like to see what
do you have anything to share?
I'll be asking him.
Yeah. I know. If you're not familiar with Shamek, I'm gonna make a QR code so you can check out Shamek's work. But Shamek, I'd love to get some feedback from you.
To see what how Mickey's work and his flow altogether. So I'm really enjoying looking into his ideas altogether, because I work slightly different from actually like mechanical side of it. So I would like to see the creativity, starting from the head and stuff. So I'm looking forward to where he's going with that.
Excellent. We're still getting a little feedback for somehow. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Somebody's got something on in the background.
We're gonna hunt it down. Okay. So. Okay. And we'll create this. So I'm putting up a QR code for everybody. If you are on stream right now, you can scan this and you can check out Shamek's tattoos. We're gonna really feature Shamek's work and get into some really in-depth conversation with him in a couple weeks.
Cool.
Yeah. If you're checking it out, it is pretty rad.
So cool.
So, but yeah, it's so interesting to have you two here, Mickey and Shamek. I see a lot of parallels between the work that you do, but of course you both are artists and you draw, and I feel like that's a big part of the mission that we have here, at for this show, and then of course at Reinventing, which that's something that Guy talks about all the time, is the importance of a drawing practice. And again, we have to use the tools, because Guy is the first one to say that, Photoshop is going to be crucial to edit your photos, because he doesn't believe in making them, and he believes in this sort of, what we're talking about today, this integrity, that you end up producing something that's an accurate representation of what it is you offer. but you need to make sure that it's doing that. You don't want to do yourself a disservice by showing a photograph of your work that isn't that isn't like an accurate representation. Let's say it's worse.
No matter how much you use AI to create an image, if you can't then reproduce that image in ink and skin, it's all for nothing.
I think that there has to be some integrity there, but of course, we really want to use the tools. We don't want to like stick our head in the sand and let these sort of things pass us by. But there is again, we were talking about this time in history where photography became widespread, and there was a big uproar from the the portrait painters and stuff. But I think what ended up happening is like now painting of all different types has a real value that was probably locked up with trying to be very highly accurate in your representation. Now there's works of art that it doesn't require being this accuracy. It's expressive. It allowed art to sort of move forward in a new way, and that I feel like we're at the edge here with these particular technologies that it's going to democratize to a certain degree, but also it's going to make new things possible. It's going to shed light on new practices of making artwork that we can't really even imagine yet. And so those are things that I think are be on the lookout for that stuff, because those are going to be so interesting to see the developments, not only like technology making things, let's say, easier, but also different art forms from human beings themselves that will be valued in different ways. So
how's the feedback now? Is it better?
Just it's a little bit better. There's a little bit of sort of noise, but it doesn't sound like we're getting the reverb anymore. So I don't think that's anything we have to worry about. But yeah, I wanted to sort of say, if anybody has things that they want to ask or talk about, that's cool. But Mickey, I wanted to ask you, what is it you're working on right now? It looks like an crochet.
Yeah, I have. So I made. So ZBrush comes with a anatomy model. Let me see what I can do here. So ZBrush comes with an anatomy model, and underneath it is a skeleton. It's all in there, all the muscles, all the bones. So if you take one of these heads, or if you make a head and you put the bones inside the head, then when you mess with and the muscles, then when you mess with the face, if you start taking away parts of the mesh of the face, parts of the mesh from the bones will stick through, right? So I have a couple animals that I've done this way. I have a couple people, and I'm pretty sure that's something that you can do in Nomad too. I think I can make characters I can take over to Nomad that way. So I don't know. I'm not making anything in particular. I'm just kind of playing around. Because this gives all kinds of options to do literally anything you want.
It's like it very much is akin to a sculpture, right? You really are like sculpting something. So since we've got Shamek, like how would you sort of design something for somebody like on the mannequin, or would you just make some blocks and
I do sculpture body parts first. So if I'm doing tattoo on the arm or full sleeve, I get photographs of the arm, and I've sculptured the shape of the arm first of the person, just to give me a rough idea, what I'm working with. Or if I have a person like the customer in person, then we drew freehand the masses and flow on the arms with the markers, and take the stencils of that and work that way, and then start doing sketches like different shapes, like the solid shapes, just to give the weight and the composition all together, and then start building from the part to to complement this shapes.
And you use other rendering software?
Keyshot on the end.
It's
so
what?
Keyshot.
Keyshot, okay.
Yeah, on the end. So it'll give you a live preview of the render, so you can set up the light and the materials, and you can turn it around and you can see it in live view.
I got a quick question, Mickey. What's going on here? This has you have like it looks like a model, and then there's this then there's this like contour line that's all the way around it. I mean, it seems to follow it as you move. That is very cool. It's kind of turns it into this more graphic sort of presentation.
It's like a 3-dimensional cartoon.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to turn my sound down. Maybe that's worse. How about now?
How's it sound?
I don't know. How does it sound? Is it too loud?
That's right.
You're good.
Okay, cool. So that's another thing that I'm trying to be exploring is this idea of lines that are kind of gonna move with your project, right? So if I start moving this in space,
that's cool.
It's still got all pretty hardcore lines, and the way that you do that is if you have a plane here. So if I were to subtool append a plane, where'd it go? Plane, center, W. I don't know where it's at. So anyway, yeah. So when it makes one of these squares, right, you can only see through it from one direction, right? You can't. You don't just go to the backside. It's like if you can imagine that a line is two edges, right? You can't see the backside without thickness unless you have it set to show you that, right? So what you do is once you get your whole model done, you take it and you double it around itself. You inflate it a little bit, color it black, and then flip it so it only shows the inside, so it won't show you the outside. So that way you're seeing through the outside and into the back of the model. So whatever's poking out around the back is making these lines. Right?
How you flip it? How you flip it?
Down here in display properties, you just hit flip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you just I just kind of like decimate that down and then make it a flat color, flip it, and then you have you can refine this. But I had seen somebody do a portrait where I guess another modeler had done a portrait and somebody was rendering it. And they did some of the, it was a girl and they had done the girl's clothes and hair with super fat lines like this, but then the face was just very extremely realistic with no lines. And so I've been trying to chase that down in terms of how could we apply this, because we like fat black lines in tattooing. Makes a lot of sense.
This is a very interesting technique. I'm really glad you're showing us. And so this is an incredibly advanced tutorial in ZBrush and other 3D rendering software. So I think if it doesn't whet your appetite yet to get into it. Again, so you were talking about how do you get into it? How do you enter? You had mentioned Procreate. Would you also recommend Nomad for the beginner? Right? Would Nomad Sculpt be a good way for beginners who are interested in 3D modeling and bringing that into their tattoos? Would that be?
I avoided 3D forever because, we're drawing in 2D and I have to put it on an arm and it's just overkill. Because the thing that you're working on is not necessarily going to go straight into a tattoo until you start to figure out hey, I've picked through all the references of eagles I can find. it would sure be a lot easier to have my own eagle or my own bear that I can then deal with however, and you can also study lighting a lot more. The lighting in 3D is baked into what you're doing all the time, right? So it's not like I'm going to do lines and I'm figuring out the shape and then I got to figure out how the light's hitting it. It's just always there. And then once you get into the points of like, I can use render sets, because you can do comic book renders in Nomad too. So you can also set it up so that it just gives you a line drawing. So you make your character, you do whatever. Okay, so or let's say I make a character over here, a girl's face, and I put it into Nomad. You can use that person in 800 tattoos. If the angle and lighting is different, what does it matter?
Totally.
Right?
Well,
so it's really just like the power to expand and produce more.
I love that. No, and I think that I couldn't agree more. That's something that you really talk about a lot. That power of being able to generate new things out of the work that you've already done. You did this work, now you should be able to to glean more out of it. And I think that's really great advice. It's something. Yeah, go ahead.
Especially when you have like design on the paper and you're thinking like, oh, I could move that slightly, tilted, it will works better with a book. When we have a picture, a JPEG, you can't really do about it. But with this one, give you the freedom to kind of move it. Sometimes it's too wide, and you could still move the face slightly sideways to fit the thinner arm to have a better composition altogether. And that's, and considering the database of the objects as well, which is growing. So in the past, you have to do your own. Now you can kind of download it, and quite often I have a really difficult designs. I can just buy the object altogether. It costs maybe $10 or something, but it's like you said, it's multiple use of it, and you can change it slightly. If you have a JPEG, it's kind of there, but if you have a bear like this one, you can still change his body shape and change his eyes, mouth, and everything quite easy when you have a general. So yeah, I think it's brilliant, and I think like transition from freehand and drawing and stenciling with a tracing paper to Procreate now in like 10 years is going to be another step. It's going to be 3D designing in 10 years. It will be like Procreate for everyone.
Well, they are already putting in material brushes into Procreate. So like if you have a 3D object, you can decide how you want that material to look, and you can do most of that stuff in Procreate. I don't know if it's like handling light yet, or if there's a good rendering software besides Nomad itself, but it's pretty amazing what you can fit into less than a Trapper Keeper.
And on a tablet as well. That's the key concept. Because the laptops and 3D software, it's always a bit power needing tool, isn't it? But Nomad, it just works on everyone's tablet, isn't it? So it's access everywhere.
Incredible. So we're coming up on the hour and a half. What I'd like to do, since we've got the brain trust here, I just received a tattoo, an image of a tattoo from a friend of the show, Creature, and so I'd love it if we could check this out. Let me see if I could share this. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is Creature's newest tattoo, and to be honest,
oh, that's so cute.
I think we're seeing quite a bit of progress. But since you said we're gonna give you some critique. So since let me see if I can. I'm not sure if I can zoom in. Yeah, maybe I can zoom in on it.
I love Harlequin clowns.
So here it is. And since we got some really incredible tattooers here on the panel, maybe we can give Creature a bit of feedback on this design. What do we think, Dave?
No, I think it's pretty cool. It's nice, clean, everything's solid. I would say that the collar looks super cool. It's a little bit, I can't tell exactly what's going on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the first look, it looks great. It looks exactly what it is. But then when I look close, I'm like, I'm used to this. I think it's double layered, maybe, and I'm not reading it right.
It should be. Pretty cool. Yeah, feels like it should be double layered, but it's missing kind of in the middle. It's just blend into one layer. But
oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so thanks for the feedback, Nate. We're working on the technical stuff. But yeah, no. So I think that's a really good catch. Working out the collar. It's an important element, but it's
I mean, I
there's a lot
think
of
it looks
commitment.
clean. It's
Yeah,
nice,
there's a lot
dude.
of commitment to it. And then I think
Yeah, the lines are clean. I like the variation in line weight. The shading and the hair is great.
so.
But,
Go ahead.
If I were to critique anything on it, what I would say is, let me put it on my screen. Actually, is this gonna create a weird fucking endless hallway for us? Right here, where there's that little bit thicker line on the inside, I'm really stuck on trying to use the fat line on the outside, like on the contour or the silhouette all the way on the outside, and then keeping skinny lines on the inside. I think when you pull a little bit fatter line on the inside, it draws attention in a weird way that's not allowing me to focus on like the overall. Does that make sense?
No, it really does. Everything is this. All the line weight is pretty similar, so there isn't any. It just sort of draws us in and pushes us out at the same times.
Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
With 3D software, you start seeing, start understanding shapes, how they bend, and how they kind of like. If you would create this color in the 3D software, you have to take a piece of material and start bending it. So you kind of start understanding the outer edge should be visible in the way of, and carry on, between them lines altogether. So then you start seeing little things differently if you start playing with the 3D software, and you start understanding, like this thing with your clothes and like a body, muscles and curvature of body, face features, and if you start going into sculpting faces in the 3D software, you start noticing little dimples around the lips, which normally missed in the tattooing when you're tattooing faces, or different shapes of the cheekbones. When if you're drawing it, you can miss them easily, but if you start sculpting them, you pay attention more to like a different nuances and different details.
I love that. I think that's going to be so helpful as we're going forward, right? And I think that's really been the theme of today's show is how do we adopt these new technologies to help our tattoo practice. But of course, we're really interested in continuing to draw all the time. So, yeah. Well, thank you everybody for checking out Creatures Tattoo.
One more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing. Just before we start, you just mentioned that drawing. If you sit down with 3D designing without having the design or drawing in front of you to reproduce it, it's a really rabbit hole. You can spend hours and not get the right result. So regardless, like if you want to go into 3D, you need to have a skill to draw on the paper, and ideally start with that and try to kind of reproduce the drawing in the 3D software. Because if you start wandering in 3D software, it takes so long, and every changes takes so long, and some of them are irreversible. It can ruin hours and hours and days of your time. So ideally drawing first and then try to reproduce it in 3D software.
That makes so much sense. Thank you for saying that. I believe that's the case. Tattooing probably same thing. Like you'd want to have some reference or drawing, rather than just going at it. I don't know. We see these videos. I don't know if any of you've ever seen them, but people they're really freehanding. They're just tattooing without a stencil. It's like somehow it turns out it's real beautiful at the end, but not recommended. But
we're always savants in any art form.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well,
definitely.
Well, I think that's this has been again. This is really really great experience for me. Great conversation. I really enjoyed Gabe sharing his virtual Gabe with us. That was really fun. Well, why don't we do some quick sign-offs, and then I'm sure it's time to get about our day and start the drawings that we got to do for today. Amber, thank you so much for coming today. Where can we find you?
Thank you so much for having me. I love Monday mornings. I get so much information out of whatever the topic winds up being.
So where can we find you, Amber?
You can find me on all social media platforms under Amber Mordain. I'm even on TikTok, though I'm never on TikTok.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm there, but I'm not actually there.
Yeah. No, it's
As always,
TikTok is where
have a great week.
Thank you.
And thank you for hosting.
Of course. Yeah. TikTok is where everybody's at. You know what? Like, I won't lie.
I got too many other places to be.
When I'm tattooing people, it's just, I mean, it's not brand new, but like, you know, it's like people are there, they're in my chair and they're just on TikTok. You know what I mean? And then it's like their friend is with them, you know, like for moral support, they're on TikTok. You know, everybody's just like, they're just staring at this
have
shit.
too many real places to be to add another virtual
It's wild. It's like addictive. I mean, I think that's real. And so this is probably a topic for another show, but it's wild. It is what sometimes
screen
it's like
addiction and screen fatigue.
Sure, it's like you're getting this tattoo, it's an incredible experience, and then you're there missing it. You know, another topic for another show. But thank you for coming, Amber. Shamik.
Thank you for having me.
Shamik, thank you so much for popping in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for like for
it's me. It's my confusion.
No, thank you for coming. I can't wait for you to come up. You know, I'm gonna show your QR code. So again, check out Shamik's work. If you get a chance, this is to your Instagram. But where can we find you? Where's what's your website?
It's inkdentattoo.co. On my Instagram, there's a link to my page.
Okay,
excellent. It's a studio page, so it's my studio.
Again, it's really an honor to have you. It's been great getting a chance to meet you in the business classes as well. And you know, it's getting to check out your tattoos and stuff. They're really inspiring.
I've just posted on my story one of my customers, which came from Canada. He did a video from the whole process of getting full sleeve in 8 days. So you can see the designing process and what I use for for the design, and he was filming it, so it's like it shows whole process from us sketching on the skin to doing little transfers to picking the elements together, and then day by day how he was getting the full sleeve and part of the chest in 8 day session.
Wow. Yeah, I can't wait I'm going to check it out. So
okay, cool.
But thank you for coming, and
thank you. Thanks.
I was going to say,
it's good to see Mickey's like a flow as well. Like I'm gonna probably have a chat with him after that, because and just found his Instagram as well, because it's very impressive as well.
Absolutely, dude. I'd love to be in touch.
I'm glad you guys are connecting for sure, because again, like I said, I feel a lot of there's a lot of parallels between the things that you both are interested in, and I could see some leadership here as far as like you're kind of you're pioneering these techniques. That are going to, you want to see other people succeed, and you want to see other people use these technologies. You're not trying to like gatekeep them. You're really trying to both of you are really interested in sort of sharing this knowledge. And so I really appreciate it. So thanks for checking out Creatures Tattoo and throwing in your thoughts on that. I think that was awesome. And again, can't wait to have you back. Thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
And also you shared with me, we didn't share it, but some of your figure drawings. So we should definitely talk about that next time. When you come on.
That's what I end up on your stream with the figure drawings. So I was doing exercises in the background.
That is awesome. No, it's amazing. So I think we should definitely do that. I love doing figure drawing here on the Drawing for Tattooers show, and so I think it's again, it's something that I think it's really valuable for all levels of drawing. And so again, thank you for sharing those with me. I appreciate it.
Okay, cool, nice one. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And then of course, Mickey, thank you so much for being the star of the show today, and for sharing all of your
having me
new
so
projects.
much, man.
Of course, yeah, of course. Well, I hope that a lot of people get a chance to to see what you're doing, and then reach out to you again because you're making educational products, and of course, like you're an amazing tattooer as well. So you're probably coming to a town near you, right? Like you're probably going to be visiting. So
I'm trying to do the whole country. Well, East Coast tour this year, I guess. East Coast and South. So for me, I'm gonna have to cross the entire country for that.
Well,
So yeah, I can go anywhere.
There's all kinds of people that watch this. It's amazing to me, but there's people that watch it all over the place. And so, so check out Mickey. He might be closer than Montana. You might live far away from Montana, but Mickey might be coming to your neighborhood. So
hell yeah, and I'm looking for guest spots.
Hell yeah. But so we've been posting your let's see, tattoos by Mickey. So we've been posting your card, all day. But again, here's a QR code you can scan. Of course, yeah. Use QR code you can scan. You go right to Mickey's personal website. I think you just released this website. You just updated it, and it really looks incredible. It's a great array of all your offerings and stuff. So
it's very busy. I'm gonna try.
There's a lot.
Cut some of that shit out of there.
You do
there's
a lot,
It's
man.
too much. Yeah.
You do a lot. So I think there's a lot to discover. So I think that's also something that people will enjoy as they get a chance.
Well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you.
Of course. So.
And Gabe, thank you.
Yeah, Gabe's in here somewhere. But Mickey, where can we find you? Of course, your website, but
MickeySchlick.com. And I work at Montana Tattoo Company, and I travel all over the place, and I'm trying to get some educational stuff off the ground where I can share this with people at lowbrowknowhow.com, and I can be contacted. There's a million ways to contact me on all those sites. There's links in all my bios. I have it all pretty much hooked up. So yeah, Mickey Schlick everywhere.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So want to say, thanks to Gabe for being here, for hopping on. I know you're probably, working away, doing some kind of incredibly technical computer shit. So there's a QR code right now at the bottom of the screen that you can scan if you're interested in learning more about Tattoo Now. Tattoo Now is digital tools and software for tattoo artists for your business. It offers CRM, that's customer relations management software, and it's competitive prices, including mailing lists and stuff too. So again, Tattoo Now. You scan the code and ask for Gabe. He'll get you all hooked up. And of course, we definitely want to thank Guy Atchison for being the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo and this community. Thank you, Guy. Thank you for everything you do behind the scenes. This has been Drawing for Tattooers on Reinventing the Tattoo Network. I'm James Wisdom. You can find me on the internet at Tattoo and Wisdom. Again, happy drawing, everybody, and we'll see you on the next stream. All right. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.